Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. So we've got a really exciting and fun arrangement that we're creating today. We're going to make a Christmas pudding. So the ingredients that you need for this are 10 stems, so it's 1 by 10 White Spray Carnations. This one I've got here is bridal white, and it would be easier if they're slightly more developed. I'll show you for why later. We've got 20 stems of double spray chrysanth, and this variety is ignition. So a nice red double spray chrysanth would work really well. I've got a tiny piece of holly, which I've attached by wire some artificial berries. And then my sundry items are a 20 centimetre wet sphere, which I've actually sliced a small amount off the bottom so it's stable, and placed that onto a cake stand. Okay, I'm going to use my usual toolkit, so my Florist toolkit, which actually only really requires scissors today, so really easy. Now this arrangement is something that's really fun, very festive, something you can get the whole family involved in. So yeah, bear that in mind. So for those of you who haven't met us before, my name is Debbie. I tend to do this side of the screen, the arranging and most of the talking, and my colleague Laura, who you'll hear in the background, does all the technical stuff. So hi Laura.
Hi.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Do give us your comments, ask any questions that you want, and we'll be really pleased to answer them for you. All right, so I'm going to make a start with the spray carnations. So don't forget to tell us what you're up to, Christmas arrangement wise, and where you are. And for those of you who join us regularly, don't forget to give us a mention and touch base with us. Let us know what you're up to. So just trimming the spray carnations off. Now what you can do with the spray carnations is if they are really tight and you want them to be that little bit more open, you can just slightly nip the calyx delicately and fluff them out a bit more. Technical term, obviously not. So just spinning those carnations round and just fluffing them out a wee bit more, just so that they open up more than they are already. You can do this with large carnations as well. It's not detrimental to the longevity, but it does just make them look a little bit more attractive, makes them look a little bit more like carnations than tight buds. Okay, so just fluffing those. Okay, so I'm going to start. Now, the part that I'm starting with is the white part with the spray carnations. That's going to be, I was going to say icing, but Christmas puddings don't really have icing. So I guess you could say that's the brandy butter. Shall we say brandy butter? Or custard, however you want to feel, really.
Are you a Christmas pudding sort of?
I do love a Christmas pudding.
Yeah.
My mum makes the best homemade Christmas puddings ever. I'm not a mad fan of mixed peel, so mum doesn't tend to put the peel in. She tends to stick very much to nuts and cherries and fruits and, oh yes, very nice. And I tend to like brandy butter with mine. Husband likes cream and custard. So yeah, we have to have a little bit of everything in our household. What about you, Laura? Are you a Christmas pudding fan?
Not particularly, no. I do love custard, so if there was custard involved, maybe I could sway.
You'd have the Christmas pudding just to get the custard. You've had a Christmas pudding with your custard rather than custard with the Christmas pudding. Yeah, everybody's getting very festive today. I didn't realise it was Christmas jumper day today, so some of the guys here have turned up in fabulous Christmas jumpers. I have to confess to have failed miserably on that score today. Mind you, I was up walking my dog at 5 o'clock this morning, so Christmas jumpers weren't really on the agenda at that time of the morning.
No, so, I can't imagine. So.
And it was miserable compared to the beautiful day we had yesterday, that nice sharp frost and fantastic sunrise. This morning was a little bit of a downward turn. Anyway, back to the Christmas pudding. So if you can imagine when your Christmas pudding is made and you've poured your custard or cream or whatever over the top, it kind of falls around. So don't make it look too rigid. It's going to make it look like it's sort of dripped around, if you get what I mean. So I'm going to use the slightly more budded spray carnations at the edge of the drips, as it were. And I'll spin this round in a moment so you can see what I mean. So if I spin this round, you can see what I mean. So we've got the slightly more open blooms at the top, and then as the icing or cream cascades down the outside, you've got the slightly smaller ones to indicate those slightly more narrow drips, as it were. So,
would you say spray carnation is the best one to use? Would you use anything else to give you this similar effect?
you could actually use spray chrysanthemums if you wanted to. The reason why I've selected spray carnations rather than chrysanths is because the carnations actually stand a little prouder than the chrysanthemums. So they'll stand a little bit proud above and actually look like they're on top of the pudding rather than on the same level. So that's the theory anyway. So just trimming my spray carnations off here.
Would you actually use anything else other than chrysanthemums or spray chrysanthemums, for instance like gypsophilia or any of the pretty kind of phlox or anything like that?
You could use gypsophila or gypsophilia. That would, but you'd have to make sure that you put it in a very condensed form, so it gives you a block appearance rather than too loose. You'd struggle with phlox, if I'm honest, because it wouldn't give you enough surface area to create that kind of block impact. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, anything rounded would work. You could probably create the same idea with roses. That would probably achieve the same kind of look. Okay, so filling in with these carnations, and then I'll spin round some more. As I say, trying to open those up just a wee bit more. I think it's one of the banes of the florists and flower arrangers' life, really. Whatever flower that you're using for whatever event, the knack is trying to get them at the optimum stage of development for when you want them. And it's an absolute nightmare to work it, because you can guarantee that your lilies won't be open in time, or your freesias have come in too far open and they're blowing. So yeah, it's probably one of the most difficult things to organise. So just giving you a little tip on how to get your spray carnations a little bit more developed. Okay, so just placing the rest of those in, just trimming those off. These ones are really tight bullets. Just popping.
And will they continue to develop when they're in the wet oasis?
Will they what? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Will they continue to develop when they're in the
will.
wet oasis?
Yeah, they will. They'll open up a little bit more. So yeah, they'll fill up the space a little bit more, which would be good. Okay, so just a few more in there. Adding some buds as well. I'll spin this round again in a minute so you can see where I've got up to. Now you can see how you've got that sort of cascade effect. I'll just cut a few more buds off. So it's nice to do something a little bit fun, a little bit different. And to be honest with you, I say this is such a simple design to create. The whole family could have a go. So when the children are off on school holidays and you're not entirely sure what to do with them, why don't you get them to create your Christmas table piece and have a Christmas pudding for a change instead of your traditional festive holly and ivy. It's great fun for them to be able to say, we made the table decoration. So there we have our icing. And now I'm going to add in some of the chrysanthemums. Now I'm going to cut those at an angle, and the stems are about 2 centimetres long. I have pre-soaked the wet sphere, so that's nice and wet and ready to use. The beauty of putting it onto a cake stand like I have is you don't have to worry about watering it. You haven't got to worry that the water is going to drip everywhere all over your nice dining table, because you've got that nice little reservoir there where the water can collect. Now, popping this into a warm domestic environment like your sitting room or dining room, it's going to get quite warm, so it's going to need to be watered regularly, and I would probably recommend even every day that you give it a little top up. Okay, so you can see we've got, I don't know if you can see actually, can you see that I've got a bit of a selection of different head sizes there? So what I'm going to do with the slightly smaller ones, I'm going to fit those in and around the spray carnations that I've already popped in, just so that they encompass those within the overall design, rather than if you're trying to use big stems or big heads, they don't quite blend in quite so easily. Whoops, just snapped that one. You could use a little support wire to internally wire those. So if you've bent the stem, just grab a wire. This one's a 70 by 300, I think. So just internally wire that all the way up the stem. And because the stem didn't snap off completely, it will still be able to drink through the remaining part of the stem. So just helps to support it, and then you can use it rather than throwing it away. Okay, so still finding some of the smaller headed ones, blending those in. Whoops, I've done it again. I think these stems are quite weak, which is actually not surprising this time of the year.
Would you ever do the chrysanthemums first and then do the icing?
I personally wouldn't. There's no reason why you couldn't. I just think it's easier if you put the icing in first, so that you can see where your chrysanthemums need to go. But there's never any hard and fast rules with any arrangement, really. People tend to do what works best for them. But I personally would do the icing first, and it gives you a little bit of a guideline on where your chrysanthemums need to go.
Could you as such create the design as you wish it to be on the sphere, maybe using a knife or something? That's
actually a really good idea. You could actually map out, you can even draw it with a pencil if you wanted to. Draw a pencil with, so you're almost then doing colour by numbers, if you get what I mean. If you did the pencil shape with the icing and then follow those lines with your white spray carnations and then fill in with the red chrysanths, there's no reason then why you couldn't do the chrysanthemums first, because you've got that guide set out for you. That's actually a really good idea, Laura.
Especially if you are doing it with your kids or something, then it gives them a guideline of where to do it.
Absolutely, brilliant idea. Yep.
Such a fantastic idea just to incorporate the kids, just because we had one ages ago, a lovely lady, I think she was entertaining her granddaughter during summer, and they made a beautiful snail that we did actually share on our Facebook, and she just said it's a great way for her to learn how to work with flowers at an early age. It's such a lovely idea.
And it's a real, Christmas for me is a family time, so you know, if you can do something with the children rather than being on their Xbox or the telly or their phones or whatever, if you can actually get a bit of interaction going, they're the sort of things that create memories for those children for years later. Definitely. They're the things that stick in your mind and actually help to make the person that you are, really. Memories that you have, especially like with grandparents, things that you did with grandparents over Christmas, they kind of make Christmas for the future years as well. The memories
Definitely. They do stick with you as well.
Yeah. Getting all sentimental today, Laura, aren't I? Alright, so just popping in some more of the larger chrysanthemums around the base. Keeping that nice rounded feel to the pudding. And then tucking ones in at the bottom. There we go. So we are getting there. So. Now there's no reason why you couldn't add some, well, we're not supposed to use glitter nowadays, but there's no reason why you couldn't do a bit of frosting, perhaps with the biodegradable glitter. just to give it a little bit of a sparkle. So if you've got candlelight on your dining table, just makes it show up a little bit more.
And this chrysanthemum in particular is the perfect colour for a Christmas pudding. It's not too red, it's not too orange, so definitely one that we would say for this type of arrangement.
Yeah, absolutely. Your Christmas pudding actually, I suppose, is quite an unattractive brown colour in reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not really something that sounds particularly appetising.
It's a really lovely colour, this chrysanthemum, ignition it's called, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And very
fitting, isn't it, to the style.
Very festive as well.
If you were to say, if you didn't have access to this type of chrysanthemum, could you spray the chrysanthemum, Debbie, to give you a nice colour?
Yeah, you could, certainly. What I would say though, with you, if you're spraying, just be aware that once you have sprayed the chrysanthemum and you've popped it in situ or in position, just do be aware that it will still develop. So you might actually find after a couple of days the bloom has opened up that little bit more and lost some of the colouring that you've used to spray onto it. So you may have to do a little bit of a touch-up job with some paint once it's opened up that little bit more. But that's not really a problem. Just make sure you add the paint somewhere quite safe and not against your best kitchen work surface. Okay, so adding some of the larger blooms again. And these poor little beasties are very, very fragile. So I am support wiring. So this is what we call internally wiring, where you place a wire up the entire stem of the chrysanthemum. I'll show you what I mean. So, whoops, I'll do it on this one. So you take your wire and push it up the entire stem, and that just gives you that little bit of extra support when you're popping it into the oasis. Shouldn't be absolutely necessary to do it with all of your blooms, but now and again if you've got a weak one or one that's snapped, then yeah, saves you having to throw it away. So just adding a few more. So it's not a particularly time-consuming arrangement to do. I'll swing it round and you can see. And there's no reason why you couldn't get one child working one side and one the other, and then they can have a competition to see which one is the neatest. Or maybe that's not such a good idea. We want to keep Christmas...
Like called arguments.
Yeah. After I said that, I thought, no, we really want to keep it quite harmonious at Christmas.
Absolutely.
You want happy interaction. Alright, so just trimming some more of these blooms off. Now, we do sell all of the ingredients that you need to create this on our website. So that's www.trianglenursery.co.uk. The chrysanthemums are actually sold in multiples of 20. You may find that you don't use all 20 for this design. So what a lovely excuse to have a bunch of flowers in your sitting room. Fresh flowers at Christmas, I think, is such a treat. So yeah, or maybe you've got somebody who you'd actually like to treat at Christmas, or make another Christmas pudding, a miniature version, and take that round to your friend or neighbour. Okay, so adding those last few pieces in at the top.
So just a question to the audience, has anyone ever made a Christmas pudding out of flowers, or has anyone made anything Christmas related? I know last year we did a Santa. So yeah, we'd love to hear if anyone's created something festive but in floral foam.
I'm still having nightmares about the Santa.
Yeah, I think it was very creative. If no one's seen it, or if anyone in the audience is new to us, make sure you head over. We've still got it on our Facebook, so go and have a look. It was a good one.
Not one of my better moments. It was a Santa that looked like he'd been on the sherry.
It was one of those spare of the moment things.
Yeah, it was
an open request we did, didn't we?
It was, and I didn't know what it was until very last minute, so yeah, definitely a one off the cuff job, that one.
All fun and games.
Yeah, it's all part of the good fun. Okay, so we're nearly, oh no, little way to go. Oh, just wiring, internally wiring that one again. Okay, lovely. Now obviously if you don't want quite so much of the red, then you could add some more spray carnations, so perhaps increase the quantity of spray carnations to 20, and then you've got some more of the icing, or make sure that you have those in advance so that they open up and develop, so they take up a little bit more space. But yeah, there's no hard and fast rules. You can tweak the design to exactly how you want it. Might be interesting to try it with different colours as well, see what kind of image you get from that. Although I quite like tradition, so. It does seem very cruel to cut these poor little beasties off very short, but it's what us florists do. Yeah, so don't forget to send us pictures of what you're creating. If you've made, like Laura was saying, if you've made some unusual Christmas designs, we love to see what our viewers have created. We've had some beautiful feedback on the wreath making workshops, haven't we, Laura?
Absolutely, so many photographs coming through.
And some really beautiful wreaths as well, I have to say. So yeah, we love to see what you've created. One of our in-house florists has just made an absolutely stunning wreath with all different foliage, and absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Lovely berries incorporated, wasn't it? Those
Yeah.
pink berries, stunning.
Very natural. Okay, so not your traditional type at all. Very, very almost wild, flower-like, really.
More natural. It's
Yeah.
very in at the moment, isn't it? That rustic feel.
Yeah, we all love that. Right, so we have created our Christmas pud. Let me move him back over a bit. Now it's got a little gap here, so just pop one in there. Scoot that out of the way. So there we have our Christmas puddy, and I'm just going to pop, handling very carefully the holly, and I just pop that in the top to finish it off with.
Fabulous.
And there you have it, your Christmas pud. Not particularly tasty though.
No.
It's quite appropriate for us because we're all foodies here, aren't we? So yeah, quite appropriate for us to do a food-themed arrangement. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep those questions coming, and we'd love to hear your comments. Don't forget to like us and share us with your friends, and go and visit our YouTube channel because we've got the most fabulous flower for December. Our flower of the month in December is amaryllis. We've got some wonderful designs. It's been an absolute treat for me, December. I love amaryllis. So I've been able to go a little bit wild on what we've done. So do go and give us a look because there are some really inspirational ideas. All right, so thank you so much for joining us today. Goodbye from me.
And bye from me.
Bye from Laura. And we look forward to welcoming you back again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.